Why do you love me?
I think the question is really like, how could I not love you? It's you know, you What was your first impression of me and how has it changed over time?
I first heard about you through some actors that I was doing a play with. We were a production of Orpheus Descending that I had been working on for like 7 years. Suddenly had a need for a last-minute replacement for the lead role. I got a call from the artistic director and she said, "Beth, don't worry. Todd D'Amour is in town." So I said, "Oh, okay, it's going to be fine." I thought it was going to be fine because I had seen Detroit and I knew that you were the playwright's brother. And I looked you up online and I saw a picture of you floating in a river or something. But you looked very handsome. I think you might have had a mustache. And so that was my very first impression was, this is the man who's going to play Valentine Xavier in Orpheus Descending in New Orleans.
I remember watching you in a rehearsal and it dressed similar to this, but it was brown. You know that brown, it's really tight. It's like, I remember you walking across the stage, doing warm-ups, and like, that was when I started to fall in love with you, you know? And there's a great picture of us during the rehearsal process, me with the guitar and you and the hand on my shoulder, the black and white picture. Like, that's when we started, right? How has my impressions over time changed of you? Watching you go through your mom's passing, I was always afraid of that moment for you since I lost my mom. In that moment, you ended up teaching me more about grief than I thought, you know. I was watching you, hoping you'd be okay. And as per usual, I ended up learning about grieving and loss from you, watching you go through your mom's things and reading. And I you know, yeah, you're my angel trumpet. I was like, I just continue to learn from you and learn about empathy and gratitude. And yeah.
And I guess my impression of you has changed completely. I mean, I was attracted to you from the first day we met, and we became best friends, I think, that day, or maybe the day after.
Very quickly.
But now, it's completely different. I didn't know you then, you know. We became best friends from day 1 or 2, but it's beyond my wildest dreams, just the depth of meaning of knowing you so deeply.
Yeah. Which is why it's all kind of special that we get to do this thing that Nathan created while I work.
You're still my best friend.
Without a doubt.
But I know you so much more deeply now.
Yeah.
Having gotten to perform with you and walk through some of the darkest parts of life with you, and the brightest.
Yeah.
What experience do you feel forged our relationship, and why?
Okay, so the beginning of our relationship was colored by my mom's cancer, right? And the play Orpheus Ascending was what brought us together. but they're Provincetown and the QM2. Like, remember the songs that we created on QM2? I mean, we created a whole...
Those were some of the first songs.
The birds. Like, we gave birth to a family of birds on that cruise. And, you know, I mean, there are moments too, like the last night after starting with my mom, you happened to walk in when my mom was in bed conducting to Yahoo Bore on the Who's down in Whoville during the Grinch, and you curled up with us. Like I look at moments like that, right? But then you got diagnosed with breast cancer. And you let me take care of you, and I got to see what a fucking warrior you were. And I remember communicating with Nathan during that time, and then, you know, and I remember Nathan telling me that he had been diagnosed, and I remember, you know, we're like, okay, now we're gonna let y'all know what warriors y'all were. But that, going through that, right, and oddly enough, we had gone on a road trip right before you found out, and our journeys that we take are so, right, like, yeah, we have fun, but like the way that we approach stuff, right, it matters, especially when you're going through something like a breast cancer or a death. Your psychological outlook on the whole thing is critical. And I think that you know, both by helping me feel that sort of freedom as well as like your sense of adventure helps us approach things. You know, like now I'm like, man, it's been too long since we traveled. You know, like, I don't know if I've liked that before. I mean, maybe I was, but you do it in a different way to me.
Well, you mentioned V and Nathan, and you made me think about my first experience of loss was my first acting teacher, who I saw play Blanche Dubois.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a Streetcar when I was like 13. And
in Cincinnati.
She died of ovarian cancer probably a year and a half, 2 years after I saw that production. But it was really devastating to lose her. Personally, my mom was very good friends with her. I also was friends with her daughter. And she was sort of the it girl of the town. You know, she was this kind of glamorous actress. And just thinking how much she affected me as a young person, seeing her on stage sort of led me to meet you, you know, because because I had seen that, I got obsessed with Orpheus Descending, started to produce it, you know, over the course of years, and then got to meet you.
Yeah.
But, you know, getting diagnosed with breast cancer, I didn't even cry when I was diagnosed, because the doctor who broke the bad news said, listen, you're going to go to sleep. You'll have breasts when you fall asleep. And when you wake up, you will have breasts.
That dude should give bad news to everybody. We agree on that.
So I didn't cry, did I?
Yeah. No.
It was.
Nope. And you called it before we got the diagnosis. You were like, we're in a room with a box of tissues because you're a standardized patient. You knew.
There's nothing else in this room except a box of tissues.
Chairs we're sitting on.
So I said,
Todd, like, oh yeah.
There's some bad news we're about to get.
You totally do. Like you totally called it. I was like,
setting the scene.
Yeah, look at that.
But you had to break the news to my parents.
That's right.
Because I couldn't tell them.
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky because they caught it at stage 0. And from the day I was diagnosed, I only had to wait 25 days to go into surgery.
Yeah, thank God.
And they said, let's do a double mastectomy because you'll have perfect breasts. I got to keep all of my skin and my nipples. So if anything, I kind of got a little bit of an upgrade. because they ended up giving me a 24-inch waist.
Amazing.
And they made breasts out of my own fat.
And when he even thought about not doing the whole, like the liposuction, all and coal-free, it was
So
like,
we had
you said you would.
A surgeon that became
She's an actor,
an
you
advocate.
got to. Yeah, totally. Amazing.
So
I know. I loved that.
the day I went into surgery was probably the scariest thing a woman can probably go through in terms of surgeries. I got scared at the last moment, right before I went in.
Yep.
And my dad came and
Yep.
They could see that I was getting really freaked out
Mm-hmm.
because it was kind of frightening.
Why? You too scared.
But then they gave me the Versage,
It was amazing.
and I suddenly had a change.
We'll never forget it. Neither of us drink anymore, so I was watching you get, never really seen you, it's like, oh. Like you went from like really to like, oh, the lamb. And I was like, who the fuck is that person? Just wasted. It was like, both your dad and I were like,
Right, because you had never seen me drunk before.
No. Like, not like, I was like, and you're like, what? And I was like, both your dad and I was like, all right, cool. I think she's gonna be okay, Dad. Actually, because we were both like, oh, we neither of us like to see you that. I mean, like really scared, and we were like, we didn't want you to leave we didn't want you to leave the room, and have that be. We didn't want that to be our last image of like you going to surgery, of like you being petrified, and so, but it went like from so quickly from like, okay, to like. We were like, all right, she's cool. We were both like, never seen that. I've never seen that in my life, but I think she's going to be all right.
That day was our second-year wedding anniversary, May 25th. It's miraculous what can happen. And one thing I've experienced is in the scariest moments and the moment that you fear the most, something really good is on the other side. Like,
especially
that's
when you have that
probably
gratitude
the
thing
scariest
too.
diagnosis you could get.
Yeah.
As a woman.
Yeah. As an actor.
In terms of like having to go through all of that. But I actually like my body more now. And I wouldn't have known that.
And
I really don't feel like I've ever been sick. I don't feel like
those two doctors.
These doctors are
family.
Yeah, they are angels.
They share in your joy when you book something. We let them know.
And that was sort of a silver lining too, is I got to walk the red carpet in a really low cut dress.
and I got to be your bag handler and your videographer, and I got to get the shot looking in that incredible dress, and people were like, damn. And you were the best dressed by far.
Thanks.
on opening on the amazing
Austin premiere.
All right. What is a question you think I really need to ask myself, and why?
That you need to ask yourself?
Yeah, what is a question you think I really need to ask myself, and why?
Do you have any idea how much good you bring into the world and how much joy and pleasure you bring into everybody's life that comes in contact with you? Do you have any idea how much you mean to me? And how much happiness you bring to everyone around you? Do you have any idea how funny you are? Did that answer that question?
Yep.
Okay, I'm on my last one.
Yeah, you are.
Why do you love me?
I think the question is really like, how could I not love you? It's you've both made me like get in touch with like a childhood self that I'd be either like scared or embarrassed to get in touch with, as well as you've actually done the sort of impossible task of helping me become a man. You know? I both can die happy knowing that I've met you and never want to die knowing that I've met you. And I didn't know it was possible to love someone as much as I do. And yet every day that I'm surprised again. I'm like, I can't fucking love her even more. Out in the ocean the other day, I'm like, dude, so many times I'm like, please, Lord, universe, whatever it is, darkness, I'll pray to darkness if I have to please don't let anything happen to her. Please, God, don't let anything fucking happen to her.
So what are you thinking?
Well, it's just brought up a lot of memories. It's like shared memories and sort of like a lot of intimate sort of experiences we've had. I mean, it's been kind of like, you know, igniting a lot of thought about the different things we've been through.
I mean, I've been around since its inception, and I introduced Topaz and Nathan to each other, which, you know, our dear friend who started this with him way back in the day passed away. And actually, this is his hoodie, so I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was a really special person. We lost him last year, so.
Nice. He's here with us.
He's here with us for sure. Yeah, amazing.
If you love the And Conversations or the And products, visit theskindeep.com/shop so you can purchase our products and experiences. Subscribe to any of our social media channels, and we really want to stay in touch and connect, improving the world one conversation at a time.